Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, and I am here to share another story and try to follow through with the whole must be disciplined within my work thing. So I am on my break at my regular job, and it has been a real struggle with me trying to keep the balance between work, family, and my spiritual work. But the ancestors are right. If I have 30 minutes, I have 30 minutes, and it's time to get another story out there. It has been like over a week, I think actually 2 weeks. So, all right, we're going to talk about another one. So mirrors. I don't know what it is with mirrors and me, but like I said in my earlier videos with the experiences that I've had as a kid, it's been a real trial and error. It's been really challenging. So at this time of my life, I was still living in the apartment with my then fiance and my kids, and there was a metaphysical shop up on my house, and I had walked in looking for, I think it was incense, just little things that I needed at the time. And this lady who had worked there, who was pretty in tune herself, had said, you've got this real female energy around you. And it feels like she died in a very traumatic way. And it feels like she takes comfort in watching you and your family. And if you communicate to her, you might be able to help her. So I go home. And I put my hands up in the air to see if I can feel it, because, you're not always attuned to your surroundings when you're busy living life and you're doing other things. You can easily get blindsided. I can tell you billions of times where I've been blindsided, and, somebody else would come along, I'm thinking spiritually guided, and would say, hey, I see this little something around you, and, moving forward from there. So I went home anyways, and I felt the energy around, and I started, saying, hello, are you here? I know about you now. And of course I felt the cool air come through in front of me because I had my hands up to feel the energy. And I could see her, coming through more clearly now. And it was a younger girl who was probably in her late teens, like, I don't know, still high school years. And I wasn't much beyond that, to be honest. And so I started communicating and, leaving little things out for her, like you would see most paranormal investigators do, to try to communicate with spirits. I'm not a paranormal investigator, but I'm learning, I'm growing at this time. And so I was guided on different things to do to communicate with this spirit being. But anyways, I can ramble on. Moving forward with that, there was another time that I went into the shop, and another intuitive had seen the same energy, and she's like, yeah, she's really attached to your boyfriend. It is an attachment. And at that point I was like, all alarms on. And being a young insecure woman myself, I have found that there's no difference between a physical girl being attached to your boyfriend than there is with a spirit being. At least, shockingly to my own self, learning about self, it definitely was for me. And so at that point, it was game over. I was going home to confront her. And so I walked through the door of the apartment and I said, you need to go. You don't belong here. You need to leave my fiance alone. Oh my gosh. just thinking back on it, it was a nightmare. It was a valuable lesson, though. It really truly was, and I am grateful for the experience that I've had along the way, because it's really taught me how to set boundaries for myself within the spirit realm and within the physical realm. But well, how foolish I was. There was no communication with her at that point. She didn't even come to the forefront, but I could feel her, and I can feel this very unsettling energy from what I had done. Like, you just done screwed up, kind of an energy feel within my home. And so that night I was watching, I think it was Jerry Springer or something. It was really big back then. So I was watching that, and all of a sudden I had a candle on my stereo that I had up there with a few other items. And while I'm watching Jerry Springer, this candle just flies right off of it, like as if somebody had picked it up and thrown it, and it landed all the way across the living room into the kitchen. It had that great a force on it. And then that night when I went to bed, after my husband, or he was my husband, but he was my fiance at this time. After my fiance came home from work and he went to bed, we settled back down and I fell asleep. And in my dream, there was this girl that I had been talking to, only I could see her very clearly with like ginger red hair herself, and she was like in 1970s clothes, bell bottoms and all that. And she was chasing me around the house with a green knife, like literally coming after me. And she chased me into my bathroom, and she's like, I'm gonna get you, you can't get rid of me. And then I woke up because I knew that she was coming after me. So I literally just woke myself up out of it. I was like, I can control my dreams. And I woke up and I'm just laying there facing the wall. And then all of a sudden I could hear footsteps stomping down my hallway going towards our bedroom. I could hear the bell bottoms swishing up against each other. It was pretty traumatic. I then heard my door swing open and hit the wall behind it. And there was an unsettling feel in the room at that point where you could actually hear the disharmony energetically that was occurring at that moment. And the next thing I knew, I could hear like as if somebody was slamming their body down into a beanbag chair, which we had a beanbag chair in front of our fan. And I could hear it. I could literally hear her plopping down into this beanbag chair. And then I could hear her within my metaphysical ear, for lack of better words, clairaudience. I could hear her say, "Turn around, you little bitch. Go ahead and look at me." And I knew what she was trying to do. She was trying to scare me to death. And I was already, my heart was racing. I was getting cold and hot sweats from it. Like the energy was just overwhelming me. It was bombarding me, for lack of better words. And I was terrified, absolutely terrified. Like even the fan in the room started sounding funny, the way the air was moving. So I was calling out to the universe for help. I was like, Granddad, can you help me? Or spirit guides. I was calling them all in. And my granddad came down through the ceiling with a crashing force. And he just puts both his arms out and he goes, "Enough, you two, enough." And he's like, "You need to go to sleep." And he looked at the girl and he says, "You need to go back from where you came from." And so she left, and it was just me and Granddad there. And I had asked Granddad if he would just stay with me because I was still just shaking like a leaf. I was so terrified. And I didn't fall asleep right away. I just sat there and kept looking up at Granddad like, "Are you still there? Are you still there?" And he would be like, "Yes, Jenny, I'm still here. Go back to sleep. You just You need to get some rest now. And I was like, I can't. I'm so scared right now. And he's like, you're fine. You're protected. It's going to be okay. Eventually, I did fall back asleep, but it did take quite a while. I mean, I don't think I got much sleep that night at all. I did wake up in the morning, and the first thing I did was call my teacher and told her about the situation. So she came that day. She came as soon as her last appointment was done to come and see me and to take a good look around the apartment. And she said, I see the energy, and I'm thinking it's coming from that mirror, you know, because she was looking around my room where the incident happened, and she's like, you've got a huge portal in this mirror. She's like, take a look at these little spots here. She's like, do you see those? Those are little portals from the spirit world to the physical. Mirrors are really known to be that, which I was still learning about all this stuff. I didn't know. I know that I had terrifying incidences as a kid. But this was the first that I learned of it. And so she taught me how to cleanse my mirror and to seal it energetically so that I didn't have a bunch of activity. Because she's honestly not, that spirit girl was honestly not the only incident that happened. Like, I would have different spirits, you know, coming through, you know, at night as I'm getting ready to fall asleep, like in between wake and dream, or wake and sleep state. And that's where I'd have a lot of, you know, little visitors. Some were quite interesting, others were kind of unnerving, but nothing like really dark. You know, it's just people, you know, people that have passed on that had came through. And so when she said it, it resonated right away. And then looking at the mirror and seeing what she's talking about, I was like, oh, okay, well, shit. No wonder I've been having so many problems lately. And then she said, other than that, she's like, oh, you need to heal yourself from the issues that you had with your dad. It came up right away. So she said, there's something green in your home, which I did. I had a green candle from, you know, my parents' house that my mom had given me when I first moved into this apartment. She's just given me stuff for the house, for decoration, for like dishes, like all parents do. And so I did have that candle. She's like, you need to use this and do a cleansing ritual and a healing ritual with you and your dad. And so she kind of stepped me through that. And then she said, you're going to be okay though. We cleanse the energy out of here. You're going to be all right. Keep cleansing that mirror and sealing it at least once a week. You want to keep up on that because it does fade over time. Like, you just want to be more on top of your spiritual cleansing, which I was still kind of learning that at the time as well. And then she left. And after she left, I was like, I want to get that mirror away from my bed. And so I was trying to push it over by my closet, which faced another mirror. And then there's a little toilet area in there. It's like a bathroom, but it was like a little sitting changing area. And so I wanted to push it over that way, but I couldn't get it to move because it's solid. I mean, this is a solid oak antique dresser that had been painted and given to us for the kids, you know, by our family members, so that we would have something for them, because being young, we didn't have a whole lot. We were just starting life out together. And so, yeah, I tried to move it. I couldn't. And so I went over to the neighbor's house and I asked the guy there if he could come help me move this dresser, you know, because my fiance at the time was at work and I didn't have the help. And he liked the dresser. He wanted it where it was, and he always fought me about it, and I was always uncomfortable with it. So I was like, I'm going to do this while he's gone, and this is how it's going to be, because I can't live any other way. I can't do this anymore. And so I grabbed the neighbor. He came over with me, and I was like, I really need help with moving this dresser over. Can you help me? Because it's solid oak and it's too heavy for me. And he's like, well, why do you want to move the mirror away from your bed? and over into that area. And I was like, oh, I just don't like it here. It's just, I don't like it. I just don't like the dresser. It's hideous. And my fiance insists on keeping it. Because, like, what are you going to tell people, right? And then he looks over at me and he smiles, and then he pulls out his necklace that had the pentagram or pentacle charm on it. Still waking up. Sorry, I'm trying to explain this, but I'm still not there yet. But yeah, he pulls out his necklace and it has the pentagram on it. And he says, now tell me the truth. Why do you want to move this mirror? And I was like, because it's got a portal. It's a portal. And I was like, look all here. And I was like, I just had my teacher come cleanse it. And now I want it away from my bed. And he's like, well, you're better off if you're going to have it here where it's going to be facing yet another mirror. It's better to put a sheet on it. And even take it off of the hinges that's holding it to the dresser, and maybe put it behind so it's not visible. You're still going to have to cleanse it on occasion, but at least you don't have it facing another mirror. And I didn't even think about it. I just wanted it away from my bedside. I didn't want it anywhere near me, if at all possible. And so we moved the dresser over, and he helped me take it off of the hinges and tuck it behind the dresser. But yeah, that was a pretty tough experience, tough lesson that I am grateful for, because it did teach me a lot. I mean, maybe I'll use mirrors in the future for scrying or something like that. You know, I mean, I've been doing this for quite a long time now, and you think I'd just get over it at some point, but I've had so many incidences with mirrors, I'm just not comfortable with it. And I really don't need to scry. Like, I've got one foot in the spirit world and one foot in the physical world at all times. Like, I'm constantly communicating. I don't really need that. So I guess I just never really wanted to go that route. And I don't know, maybe one day, but I have no desire still. But the other thing that amazes me about that situation is that Spirit really does bring you the people that you need to learn from, or that can be there to support you at those times of need, at those times of profound lessons and understandings, and going along with your path. You know, it's not just spirit guides or spirit animals or land spirits that come to help you. Spirit also brings those people into your life. And so I'm really grateful for my neighbors. I sure do miss them. It's been a long time, you know, years since I last seen them. But it was really fun connecting with them, because then I had a support system that was living right next door to me that I actually spent a lot of time with, and learned a lot from them too, as well as my teacher. It wasn't just one form of source. It ended up being like all kinds of different sources at that time that helped me walk my path. But yeah, I just wanted to share this one little part. Usually I go through a couple of experiences for the time, but I don't really have a lot of time for that right now. So I figured, well, even if I get one story on here at a time, that it might help somebody who's going through the same situation, or has gone through the same situation recently, or even in the past, that maybe have not gotten the full understanding of these kinds of things. And like, this is just my experience alone. Like, all of us have all of our different experiences. Each one of us are unique, you know, and living a spiritual yet physical life. So like, this is just me alone. There's so many others that I'm sure have experiences that they could talk about to teach from, but this is me. This is what happened in my realm, and so I am sharing it. And I think I will let this video go from here, and I will be on in as soon as I can for another story of my life path. So thank you for those who have listened in on my channel. I'm truly grateful. I'm not the kind of person to say like and share, blah, blah, blah. Do as you will, do as you're pulled to do. It's your sovereign choice. I'm just on here to humbly and simply share my stories and talk about all things spirit that might help others. It's really about that for me and nothing else. So do as you feel that you're pulled to do. For those that might be interested in services that I share with readings or healings, energy work, anything like that, you can find me on Weirdwell or Psychic Medium Jennifer Cunningham or Spiritual Coach Jennifer Cunningham on Facebook. I'm also on Yelp and Instagram and Twitter. So you can find me on those places if you're interested. This isn't really about that so much as it is just, you know, bringing things forward that might help others, because at the end of the day, this is what this is really about. And with everybody starting to become aware of the natural path and spirit and walking with nature, I feel like this is why the ancestors in the Morrigan have called me forward to do this. Of course, there could be another reason that I'm not aware of that I'll find out further down the road, as I have been saying. But for now, this is what I know of it in the now, in the current. This is my understanding. And so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye for now. And thank you for coming to listen. Bye.